they take aircraft that are being retired, they dismantle it, they literally grind down the fuselage into aluminum powder, and they sell those parts and the materials, including the powder, back into the aerospace industry. Interestingly enough, they had a very strong business model prior to COVID. Post-COVID, their business model even looks better. You probably have read a bunch of legacy airlines are retiring aircraft early, get them off their books, and that fits well into AeroCircular's business model. This project is very, very close to being delivered. This is a live shot of the air side looking into the hangar. We expect this to be delivered in the next 30 days, and AeroCircular to start moving planes through the hangar facility shortly thereafter. Able Aerospace is the largest tenant on the airfield. They've been here for quite some time, and they recently completed a 50,000 square foot expansion. They probably employ somewhere in the range of about 500 employees. This expansion helped them grow into a new product line. Specifically, they do maintenance and repair and overhaul work. They're going to start working on landing gear products in this particular building that you see here. Very excited to see them continue to invest at the airport. So very, very fitting that Councilmember Luna is on the call. He had quite a bit of involvement with this particular project, but over the last 4 years or so, maybe a little bit longer since I got to the airport, we have been working with a company where it's kind of based in Mexico City. They do have U.S. operations. And through a variety of processes, we selected them to serve in the role of master developer for approximately 360 acres at the southwest corner of the airport. One of the really, really interesting things about this group is they really bring deep, strong connections to the Mexican government, specifically the customs operations in Mexico, and a lot of expertise in real estate development. And they proposed and have delivered on bringing a program to Gateway Airport that's truly in its pilot stage, but only exists not in an airport like us, but only exists at the border currently. And it's called the Unified Cargo Processing Program, or UCP for short. The concept of the program is quite simple. So at the highest level, when you export something from the United States and deliver it to Mexico, it goes through 2 inspections. One at export, so a U.S. customs official clears that good, the widget, for export. And then when it arrives in Mexico, it gets cleared for import by a Mexican customs official. So 2 inspections. The premise of this program is to take the Mexican customs official from Mexico and bring them up into the United States and conduct joint inspections on products headed to Mexico at the same location and at the same time. Really improves the logistics, really cuts down on time. So right now, in one of our hangars up here at Gateway Airport, we do have a Mexican customs official. This program is stood up. And I wish I could report that we've got tons of cargo going through, but unfortunately, when COVID showed up down in Mexico, the Mexican government, and rightfully so, shut down their government offices. And we were really, really close to the finish line with codifying some of the key rules down in Mexico that relate to this program. And those, unfortunately, have been put on hold as they kind of navigate through this issue. So we're excited about the future of the program. We're really, really close to really turning on the switch. We've done a few shipments back and forth. They've got some operators who are very interested in getting things going. We just need to get through some of the bureaucratic hurdles down in Mexico. But they're hoping that program will serve as a catalyst for real estate demand within the park. You're staring at an image of their conceptual master plan. You can see it's heavy in cargo operations and industrial/logistic type uses. Really, really great fit for us as an airport. This is an area we haven't really made a ton of progress in, and this group, this company, Skybridge Arizona, as well as the UCP program, we see as a really, really strong opportunity to further cement the relationships between the U.S. and Mexico, improve trade, and drive real estate demand at the airport. They have been busy, so they've got 2 projects. One is complete. This is an image of the completed project, which is a 53,000 square foot industrial building. This was delivered just at the start of the summer. They're working with users to get this facility leased up right now. And the other project that they have underway is an 82,000 square foot hangar. Again, this is oriented towards that corporate jet type of user. So I think the design aircraft here is also a G650. And this is a shot of the airside view looking into the hangar. Those aircraft there are 737s. Those are not small aircraft by any stretch of the imagination. So hopefully it gives you some feel for the scale of which the facility that they're putting up. We expect that hangar to be delivered December 1, actually, so right around the corner. So the other thing I've been working on over the last couple years or so is getting what has been commonly referred to as the east side of the airport kind of ready for its next stage and ready for growth. We're referring to it now as Gateway East. We're really clever here at the airport. We come up with really clever names. So Gateway East is what we're generally referring to it as. You can see here, to get you oriented, Ellsworth Road kind of runs along the eastern boundary, Ray Road along the north, State Route 24 kind of bisects it up there at the top. One of the things that you've probably heard about if you've been paying attention to Gateway is the future terminal is envisioned to be placed on the east side. We have a very, very small real estate footprint where we operate out of now as it relates to passenger service. And it's amazing how much we get done on that small footprint, but we really, for the future of the airport, we really need more real estate. You can see on this image, we've reserved kind of that northwest corner for the future terminal. That'll be a completely demand-driven venture. I would say today it's at least 10 years out, given where we're at numbers-wise post-COVID. But we're reserving property for that investment when it's necessary. The rest of the property is being designed and kind of positioned for commercial development. And in the next 90 days or so, we're going to put a solicitation out on the street to seek a firm or firms or a group of firms to serve in the role of master developer and help us get this property going in terms of commercial development. This is a really, really unique piece of property. It's got some really strong fundamentals, and there's a ton of real estate activity in the area. If you're familiar with the Southeast Valley, every time you drive through here, there's something new happening. So we're very optimistic about the interest level for folks to come in and make these investments, and we're looking forward to bringing that next chapter forward for Gateway Airport. This is going to be a big part of our future, is bringing this property to market, bringing new employment type uses, and creating jobs through those investments for the Southeast Valley. We really see this as a large regional employment center. And maybe the biggest project that's come to fruition over the last 8 to 9 months is our new air traffic control tower. So many of you may have had some sort of involvement in this effort, but over the last decade, no kidding, the last decade, we have been after trying to track down some funding to help fund a new air traffic control tower. The tower we have today was part of the old Air Force Base, and for a variety of reasons, it's operable today, but it's not ideal. And it was clear that we need a new tower. In fact, we need a new tower that's about 80 feet higher and probably has another 500 square feet within the cabin itself. What you're staring at here is a graphical rendition of what we will deliver. And the short story is we had to actually change federal law to help with this project. There was many elected officials who stepped up to the plate to help us, both in justifying the business case and talking through what commitments at the state, local, and federal level were necessary to deliver on this project. What you're staring at is probably a $30 million project. It'll take about 2 years to build, and will dramatically change the skyline of the Southeast Valley. It'll be noticeable. We'll leave it at that. Very, very important piece of infrastructure for us. And once this project is delivered, it'll take about 2 years to deliver. We'll be on to other infrastructure projects, but certainly not as important as this one. And if you did have anything to do with it or helped us along the way, thank you very much. This was a big day. We have issued the notice to proceed, and we certainly wish we could do a big groundbreaking. That's a little bit difficult in these times, but I fully expect that we'll do a topping off ceremony or a ribbon cutting, and we'll make a very, very big deal about it. That is the quick and short story of it. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any additional information about what's going on at the airport if anyone's curious.
This is Vern Macker, and I have a question about what was that circle ASR district that you showed on the previous map?
Yeah, So that radius there, ASR is a acronym for basically a radar facility. This particular one is owned by the FAA. It's actually see this circle here. The ASR facility is located right in the center of it. The purpose of that radius circle is to show developers and to remind us at the airport that there are some development restrictions within that radius. The ASR is an important facility for the regional airspace management system, and you can't put certain things within that radius. Our goal at the airport is to actually get that ASR relocated somewhere else so that we can open up this property and be unrestricted with our development efforts. But that in of itself will be quite a process as well. Good question.
Anybody else have anything?
Yeah,
Rich, this is Dill, Brenton. Shea should know that one of our Rotarians, Ryle Randall, was primarily responsible for the Air Force Base being put out there, and he was also responsible for Falcon Field. So there's a little bit of Rotary out at both of those air bases because of one of our members.
That's great. I did not know that. Thank you.
Well, we'll sit sometime at one of the ho-ho meetings, and I'll fill you in on some of the rest of the story.
I love it. Thank you.
hey Shea.
Yes, sir.
Couple of questions actually. There's a new legacy project that's being built. Is that on former property of the airfield, or is that completely separate property? And the other thing is, I've been concerned watching just all that construction around there. Is anyone worried about the expansion? There's all those warehouses that have gone up, and all the landing fields and all that. Is that problematic? And the last question in that part was, any new airlines up for grabs right now?
Great, Randy, thanks. Good to see you and great questions. So first question, Legacy Sports, big announcement recently, large sporting facility, not on airport property, actually on the east side of Ellsworth Road. It's actually on former General Motor Proving Grounds property, south of where DMB is. So not on our property at all. We certainly were interested and weighed in on a few design-related elements. Anytime you put that much turf in one place, you inevitably bring wildlife, birds, you name it. Turns out birds flying up and aircrafts trying to land are not the greatest mix. So we weighed in on some of those things there. But all in all, it's a compatible project as it's currently designed, and we're excited to see it come forward. A second question was about all the construction and its impact to probably, I think you meant airspace and airport operations. We are actively engaged in any sort of planning that goes on, specifically with the city of Mesa, but also with Gilbert and Queen Creek. We have a very, very specific land use compatibility plan that all three of those cities have adopted, which governs things like types of land use, building heights. We have noise contours where within those contours, we ask that an additional level of sound attenuation is added to buildings. So the short answer to your question is no. If we had a concern, we would certainly make it known. But things like warehouses are all very much compatible with the airport. Where we do run into some issues is on residential, and we've been close to monitor those.
Yeah, because where it seemed odd to me is that you have all those businesses that are right at the end of the landing strip. That's the part that I was always wondering about.
Yeah, I know that seems weird, but that's extremely common. If any of you have flown out of John Wayne Airport and experienced the amount of thrust you need to get up and over those buildings, frankly, it's very common. It's all manageable. Quite honestly, those buildings, as it relates to our guidelines, could have been much taller. And because they're only 30, 35-foot industrial buildings, they don't pose any threat whatsoever. Your last question was regarding new airlines. This is something we are consistently chasing. I don't really have any news really to share, but I will tell you the main focus for us in terms of the next level of air service at Gateway Airport, really interested in getting a legacy carrier like a United or a Delta who can provide a daily or twice daily service into a hub, whether it be Salt Lake or Denver. and really attract that frequent flying business traveler. So we know a lot of business travel originates out of the Southeast Valley, and being able to, for someone to hop on a plane, get up into Denver and beyond, and maybe back in the same day, that's the level of predictability of service that a business traveler wants, that quite honestly Allegiant doesn't provide, nor does Allegiant fly to those typical destinations. That's going to be the next level of growth for us at the airport. So we're focused on that.
You think you are from getting, because it's, you fly out Sky Harbor and it's like a complete madhouse. You've got so many people there. I mean, so is it realistic to pull a hub out of there and to get it? You have the room for it. And then the second part is, I'm looking at, you have all this space, but at some point, if you try to drive down Sossaman or Ray to get to the airport, how much traffic do you have to have before those streets need to be widened?
Yeah, no, great question. So regarding, I purposely chose United and Delta. Both of those airlines certainly are at Sky Harbor, but they don't have a significant presence there. The two primary airlines at Sky Harbor are Southwest and American. So we do not, to answer your question directly, I don't think it's realistic for American or Southwest to just pick up or expand to Gateway Airport, at least not in the near term. I do think it's more realistic for one of the other legacy carriers who isn't as invested at Sky Harbor to consider a split operation, meaning they wouldn't ever leave Sky Harbor. They would just offer a second flight or some sort of split operation here at Gateway Airport. And then regarding kind of the infrastructure as it relates to the airport to ensure that the passenger experience is still at least resembles what we have today, which is that kind of the quick and easy type of feel. That is absolutely a concern of ours. In fact, one of the constraints with our current facility, the terminal facility, that will probably drive moving to the east side quickly, or when demand shows it, is in fact Sossaman Road. There's only so much capacity we can put on Sossaman Road until it fails or reaches a service level of failure. We're not there yet. And specifically, there's some of the left-hand turn bays into our terminal facility that limit or create some constraints for us. So we watch that very, very closely. And at some point, ideally, we'll hit a point of traffic or passenger traffic that'll justify moving to the east side, where we can build a wider, more accommodating street profile and accommodate more traffic. Good question, though.
One last question. Our esteemed President Ben has a question for you. And when you get done with that question, Ben, it's all yours.
Thanks, Rich. Shea, this has been a great program. And there may be some more questions, but I want to ask you about that 737 hangar that you showed under construction. Can you put more than one 737 in that hangar when it's done?
Actually, it's kind of a misleading photo. The 737s that you see out on the ramp there actually can't fit into the hangar, and it's not because of width, it's because of height. The tail height actually goes high. The G650, which is the design aircraft for the hangar, is a little bit shorter, has a smaller tail height, and can fit. The hangar facility can be divided into 4 specific bays. So you can actually, if you look closely, you can kind of see there's a couple of dividing walls going up within the hangar facility now. There'll be up to 4. For those who are interested, they're talking about leasing upwards of 3 bays to 1 user. There's quite a bit of interest actually on the facility right now, but it can be divided up to 4 different hangar bays.
Hey, Shea, are there any plans for increase in air freight or international air freight?
International air freight, yes. And right now we've hitched our wagon and are fully behind the efforts of Skybridge to start with connecting U.S. and Mexico and trying to build some trade lines there. Domestic cargo is something we're starting to explore. Beyond that, international travel is challenging on a variety of fronts, but I would say the biggest constraint for us isn't airfield infrastructure. We've got runways that can handle, we land the Antonov, which is the largest cargo aircraft in the world here. So it's not an infrastructure challenge, it's a customs and programming challenge. at Sky Harbor, for instance, in Tucson, as another great example, they have federally funded customs facilities where they have the staff and the resources and the capabilities to handle international travel. We have a customs official here. The facility or the staffing levels are not sufficient to handle large, direct flights from China type of stuff. But again, our goal is to build through this SkyBridge partnership the trade between Mexico, and then see where we can take international freight and international cargo activity from there. So it's an important step towards future activity.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Shea, again, thank you for everything, and we hope you'll come back real soon and give us an update.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your guys' time.
Our door is always open to you, and you're welcome at any meeting. Thanks, Rich, for putting that together. Thank you. You're ahead of me. Good. Just wanted to ask Randy Vogel, take maybe one moment, Randy, 1 minute. Give us an update on the Art Center and everything that you know right now with going forward. You're still muted though, Randy.
Sorry, I had to push my button here. So most recently at the last council meeting, the city council worked with Arts and Culture to get the museums that are going to be opening up back sometime in October, very soon. They're in the process. That's the Idea Museum and Natural History Museum are going to be reopening under the COVID protocols. Because of the delay and the unknown factors of COVID, the MCA will still be opening in January because there's currently not an exhibit in that space. It isn't scheduled to be installed till later, so they're working on that as far as I know. Classes are also in the process of starting back up in January is the last word that I have also. And with performing live, right now, theater world is completely unknown. We're all still sitting at no groups of larger than 50 people are permitted in public spaces. Now the state has moved to the green area, and some theaters may be able to open up as much to 50%, but there's still not a lot of good, clear information out there. We are looking at alternatives for performing live, which is what we present in the theaters, to create a series, but I'm not at liberty to really talk much about that until we get the proposal approved and the funding approved and COVID-19 approved. It's been a hard year. Performing arts and theaters and museums are in many regards the last, especially theaters, are the first to close and the last to open, and you're seeing it on Broadway and theaters across the country. The New York Met just said that they will not have a season at all this year. So it's a tough time.
Hang in there, Randy, and we're with you, and look forward to better days, hopefully soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Moving forward, next week, the economy, emerging trends, and commentary with Gary Schilling. Gary Schilling's a Forbes columnist, the Wall Street Journal writer, and has done a few books, and he's an interesting fellow. He's going to be with us. So come up with a few questions, and he'll field those questions. The week following, October 7th, is dark. That's fall break for Mesa. When we return on the 14th, it'll be water in Arizona, the haves and have-nots with Sarah Porter. Sarah is really tops when it comes to understanding how water is being used in the state and talking about the future and how things may change. I think that'll be very interesting. We plan to have a classification talk next week, but we'll keep the surprise going. We're not sure who that will be yet. So listen, this has been a great meeting. Thanks all for being here, and let's go out and make this an outstanding day.